Hello and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 151 at scavengerlife.com. And we are talking about what's going on in our store this week.
We are still in Amsterdam. I think we've been here for 8 weeks now.
No, not that long, but it feels like it. It feels like we live here now.
Yeah, it's funny when you're away from home for, more than just a couple weeks, it starts feeling like your old life is gone and you've started just to live somewhere new.
Don't forget about our life, our houses, and our cats.
Yep, we have them. Okay, I just want to say hello to the newcomer. This podcast is about selling online, specifically on eBay.
Yes.
And for us, our whole thing is about keeping it really, really simple and about selling one thing. Like find something at your house and sell that one thing. And then pick something up and sell that thing. Way we started a business was we just took that as model and we just multiplied it by many, many hundreds of those things.
By 3,000.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And really the big thing is just becoming good scavengers, which means instead of finding stuff that will only sell for $3, you just take the time to find the stuff that will sell for $50.
$100.
Yeah, or even, or like we always say, the bread and butter of what we sell sells between $30 and $40. That's about it. And those things are everywhere, especially if you live in the States. So anyway, that's what you're listening to. And we just always tell people, if you're trying to start out, don't feel like you need to go out and buy a bunch of ebooks and courses and DVDs and personal phone calls and all that stuff. You can if you want, but you can also just figure out it yourself, and there's a lot of people around here that can help.
Basically, you just got to jump in and do it, make mistakes, and learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, and just be organized and it's motivated. And if you aren't either of those things, an ebook isn't going to help you get over that problem anyway. That's more of a life problem, and we aren't here to solve that problem.
Okay, so what are our numbers? These are amazing numbers that I'm looking at.
Yeah, so we do our numbers every week just because we think that's really where the rubber meets the road. So this week we made, from Saturday to Sunday, we made $2,275.
Now, that includes a high dollar piece of artwork that we sold.
Right. So, but let's break that down. So that's $2,275, which is great for us. Those are the kind of numbers we love. That's when if you're making money to pay your bills, then you have extra money to spend that on other things, and we're pretty frugal people, so that money goes to building other businesses,
right?
Like a jewelry business.
Wait, jewelry? Who among us is making a jewelry? Is it you?
I don't know. I was trying to think of the most ridiculous kind of business you could make.
Yeah.
So we sold 36 things. 7 of those were jackets because it's September, the cold is coming, and
our jackets are on sale, which we never usually do, but it's actually been quite good.
And plus we're taking offers on jackets, so we're happy to be selling jackets. And so like Ryan said, a big sale was we sold this vintage, it's a painting for $650.
Yeah, and that was not on commission for anyone. That was one of a pair that we have. So we're hoping actually that this guy will buy the pair.
Right, so we bought a pair of paintings from the 1950s, and they were $75 for both of them. So, 30-something bucks
I took a chance because that is higher than we'd like to pay, but they were professionally matted and framed.
And they were just really
original.
And they were really beautiful, and people say, well, how do I know if a painting's worth something? I mean, number one, you can look for a signature and look that up and it's by a famous, a known artist, then obviously it's got a value to it. But this isn't a good example of, it was a piece of art. It wasn't signed by any specific artist. It was just cool. And we always say you go by your gut. And people say, oh, I don't know what that means. And you're like, well, that's just what being a scavenger is.
I mean, it's an instinct and it is experience. So, for me, I had a price tag of $1,200 for that one painting. And I took a half price offer. because I'm thrilled to get 600. I'm like, I paid $30 for it.
And that's another good example of the kind of strategy that we have is, we buy and we hold, So we list it and forget it.
Right.
I feel like our show can just become all these like little buzzwords.
Oh my God. Always be listing.
But yeah, so we put this thing up. We got it for basically $30-something.
Yeah.
We thought it was really, really cool because it just looks beautiful. We put a high price on it with make offer.
Right.
And we were just waiting like a little spider. Just waiting for someone to come along.
Yeah.
And just to give us an offer.
Yeah, give me an offer.
He offered half price. He's thrilled that he got this thing for half price. We're thrilled because we made, 2,000% on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. But here's an example. Okay, so I do want to talk about the specifics of this sale because it's what a lot of us talk about.
Right.
He gave us an offer. He's in a foreign country that global shipping ships to. And then once he got I don't know if I sent him an invoice or oh no, I can't send him an invoice for global shipping.
eBay does it.
Yeah. eBay does it. So he saw the import charges and the shipping, and then he says, well, I want you to ship it to a U.S. address.
Because I don't want to have to pay the import charges, which are incredibly high.
Right.
But I guess he's, a lot of people, they want to take that chance because I guess they aren't always charged import charges.
Or if he's assuming flying here at some point and going to pick it up and bring it and say it's a gift, or I don't know what he's going to do. So that's tough for us because we can't just change the information because he's in another country through global shipping. I can't just be like, ship to Idaho. Like, he has to go in and change that information. So it becomes this kind of sticky situation of like, trying to change the sale afterwards. So we're kind of like trying to figure that out now.
It's just a doable thing. You just have to be patient. You send very clear, short, it's messages, not really long, complicated paragraphs, and you just be professional and you give the person options.
Right.
I send a global shipping to you and you pay the price there, or change your address and I'll send it to America. That's it.
Those are the choices. Yeah, exactly. So that's in the works.
But bottom line for us is it's a good sale. And we're in communication with him, and it's just one of those things where, you can find things that are relatively cheap, that if you're patient, you can get incredible profit from, but you have to be patient, If we were in a hurry, and if we had bought this, because it's taken 12 months to sell this thing, if we had just thrown it up on auction, most likely, because it's not a named artist, we would have maybe gotten $50,
Right, exactly. So I'm thrilled.
So something else we sold this week was, and to me it's a prime example of what we sell. It's just like a wooden cat, and you can see a picture of it on the blog post at scavengerlife.com under this podcast, and we sold it for $50.
Right, now I will describe it a little better. It is like a mid-century modern, kind of Danish modern carved teak wood cat. So it's very cool, very stylish.
And it's something we just got at a yard sale where they had a free pile of stuff that it's left over.
I don't know. And what's funny is I think the yard sale was going on at the same time, and they were just giving away stuff for free in the corner. But I can't believe this was in there because it was so cool.
But again, it's another one of those things where, those of you who, deal in one-of-a-kind kind of vintage objects like we do. This is the kind of stuff that you live for because everyone's passing over it. There's no name brand on it.
Right, there was no signature.
It's not made out of gold or silver or bakelite. It's not like, it's just one of those things where it's about design and style.
Yeah.
And you can only get this stuff really cheap, and you just have to be patient because probably some lady is like designing her house and she just imagined this little tiny vintage wood, sculpture is just going to sit on her shelf. And she's willing to pay $50 because if you look at any design website, they're selling pieces for $50, $100, $200.
Yeah. So it did take a while to sell, but we knew it would sell eventually, and it did. So
you gotta just wait to find the right buyer,
yes.
And we were talking on the blog, or people were talking about how this one guy was saying that he wasn't getting a lot of page views on his items, and I was trying to tell him, like, we have items just like this thing that sold. It's not like there were hundreds of people coming every day and looking at it, and there's all these watchers. It's a very quiet item.
Yeah.
One person here, one person there. It probably had a couple of watchers on it, and this also is an item that took probably a year to sell.
A year or maybe even more. It might have been more than that, which is weird because it is such a cool object. But that's the thing about a big inventory. You do want stuff to move quickly, but you also do want to get a good price for something that is cool. So,
and just to remind people, because I know also, especially it's new people seem really get hung up on listing fees.
I've noticed that this week
because we have a store subscription like anyone can get. I mean, at the the one we subscribe to, we can list an item for 5 cents a month. So let's say it took a year to sell that thing. 12 it's months times 5 cents. That's 60 cents. It cost 60 cents to put a wood cat up.
Yeah.
And then eBay and PayPal take their final value fees. But 60 cents, we sold it for $50.
Yeah,
like,
it's not.
We're good to go.
Basically, I tell people, don't think about the fees. I don't know. I mean, the listing fees like that, if that's going to keep you from listing, I mean, that's not a good thing to keep you from listing.
I mean, and I guess if we had just done an auction, how eBay's always given those free auctions, 10,000 free auctions. I mean, maybe we put it up an auction and we got the auction prices free, but maybe it would have sold for $9,
Right, exactly. So, yeah.
Anyway, that's the kind of math that we have, and it's all about buy and hold, wait for the right buyer.
Yeah, and so far, I think you gave me the number of things we've sold so far. How many was it? So 137 items. I think that's the most we've sold in a trip this long. Like the fact that I have to go pack all those.
And we still have 5 more days here, so it's going to get at least up to 150 items.
Yeah.
The good thing is a lot of those items are like clothes and jackets.
A lot of them are clothes.
Stuff. Just boom.
That is
boom,
polymailer
boom.
Central. We're actually here for 7 more days.
That's why it's amazing to me when we talked about some of those people we watched on YouTube.
Yeah.
Gil Daddy and his wife, how they supposedly showed a number where they sold like 170 things over
the weekend. I think it was 120, yeah.
And it seemed like they acted like that was a normal thing.
That's so much stuff.
That's a lot of packing, and I give them full credit for organizing their life where they can, list a lot, buy a lot, and pack a lot. I mean, that's incredible.
It's a lot of organization. And they actually made a video that we watched recently which was a very good video, and I'm glad they made it because I really wanted to see how people did this, was how to pack for FBA. And the level of organization that you have to do that is incredible, So I am very impressed by them, their organizational skills.
It's video because people have been, I've been really down on it because I'm like a stingy, elitist kind of guy that just wants my little cool, wooden vintage cats. But it was cool to watch its video because they had a whole floor of just like DVDs, VHS tapes. They just had like kind of junky Walmart stuff. But this is what people say. If you find this stuff for $1 or less at yard sales or wherever they go, and then you pack it all up and you send it to FBA, and then
and it sells,
then they take care of it. It seems like its profit is it's lower. Like we're getting an average of like $63 an item
this week. Yeah,
this week. So maybe your profit's only $12,
but you have volume.
But it's volume.
Yeah,
so
it's different. We are going to do an experiment.
Yeah, we're going to do an experiment.
We'll try. We'll get a box together. I think that throughout this podcast and throughout our business, we are willing to do experiments, so I think we will be willing to do an FBA experiment.
Yep.
That's never off the table. We just have to
Right.
keep looking for those things.
For us, like everyone says, I think it's a very common trope in the online selling world. The most valuable thing out there is our time.
Yes.
So that's one reason why I've been kind of down on Amazon, because I'm like, you're putting in all this work for, $3 profit, $8 profit, but I can see the value in if you like put a whole day in and send in like 8 boxes of stuff, and then you just sit back while the money comes to you. I can see that. So let's try it.
We can try. So we actually sold a third item on Bonanza.
Yeah, in the past, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks, we've been selling an item here and an item there. And
and so I sold, it was a $20 item. It was a set of like cabinet hinges or for the inside of like kitchen cabinets, whatever. So someone bought some stuff on Bonanza.
And and that's another experiment we had going on, because Chris the coin guy, who we did an interview with, said that if you have a large store, 500 items or more, it's worth it to start a account there. And they're smart. I think it started because one of the seller updates in like 2006, someone got mad and started basically an eBay clone site. That's really is what it is. And they had the ability, you can import all of your eBay items.
It's actually a little bit too easy. Like, I don't understand why eBay, I know why eBay allows it, because eBay does allow you to export into a third-party software to do listing and archiving.
And actually, the site's really nice because it's kind of what eBay should be like. It's very clean.
It is.
It's much more intuitive and it makes sense. They just don't get traffic. So I think a lot of these items they have out through Bonanza gets on Google Shopping and other kind of those sites. So,
Yeah, so I don't know, but I think it's funny to compare the numbers. In the time we've had a Bonanza store versus the time, that same amount of time in eBay, I mean, 3 items versus 200 items we've sold, so it's kind of like...
Right. And, so I hear when everyone's complaining about eBay and it's so horrible, but man, whatever you think about eBay, they still have traffic, and that's what makes them... It's worth putting up with the kind of kookiness, and you just have to hope that they listen to people and that someone at the helm has the big picture. So, and if not, then there are lots of sites like this other one, Bonanza, that are ready to take over if people decide to start buying there, because that's where the power is. It's not those of us who sell stuff. I mean, maybe we have a little bit of power, but it's really who buys stuff.
Right.
So if everyone buying stuff decides to move to a different site, I mean, that's where the power is.
Right. So right now we are where the people are.
Yep. So our week, like we said, we've basically been on vacation.
Yeah.
I think we don't like to use that word because we're really kind of busy bee kind of people. But this week really turned into being a vacation.
Yeah.
We rented an apartment in Amsterdam, and it was great. We could sleep whenever we wanted to. We were just cooking food in this apartment. We were just kind of working on the computer, not doing eBay, just some other projects we're doing. We would take walks in the evening along the canals.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of Amsterdam is you can just walk throughout, we've said this before, you can just walk throughout the city. It's beautiful during the day. It's beautiful at night. You can hop on the train and just go wherever and then walk back.
It's just, everything's on a nice human scale, very kind of small but not too small. And then we have some friends here that we had met up with and, had dinner and cooked for them, and it was good.
What was funny is last night we actually... treated ourselves and went out to Thai food, which we that's the first time we've been here. I think we've been here 3 weeks. We haven't gone out to eat till last night. And it was so funny because on either side of us were Americans. And one guy turned to us and was like, what do you suggest we do for the first night we're here? And we were just walk around, because we're horrible tourists because we don't go to museums, we don't smoke pot,
And then him and his buddy pulled out these these like cupcakes made out of a pot. So
Yeah, they were
started
basically
eating space cake.
They were basically space cakes,
Yep.
which it was kind of hilarious to me. I was like, oh, obviously you're going to eat pot and you're going to walk around and drink. Like, that's what most people do in Amsterdam. I don't do that, but
Some people. There's definitely a part of town where it's like, it's narco tourist, they call it.
Yeah, narco tourist. And that's not fun to walk through.
There's plenty of other parts of town that are just normal people.
That are beautiful and wonderful.
But that is a good example of like, we love to save money.
Yes.
Even on vacation. And it's almost like I was thinking about it, you know? Like we've been here we're coming up on 3 weeks and we've spent $500. Like we've taken out, $500 at the ATM just on spending money.
And that includes buying a bunch of stuff at the thrift market.
Right, and that includes $200 that we spent. So really we've only spent $300. It cost us $1,000 for an apartment.
For 10 days, 11 days, something like that.
And
yeah.
so, and we just, there's almost like a high of getting a good deal. I mean, it's about, when you're at a yard sale and getting a good deal on things, there's almost a high in trying to figure out how to, it's live in Amsterdam for, almost a month without having to pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's just, we cooked a lot. And we cook good food,
Yeah, we basically cook what we like to eat at home.
Right.
And, it's just basic stuff.
So it's not about being frugal where you're like a monk and like, not enjoying life and, like keeping things from your taste buds. It's more about just...
Yeah, I think part of it was like we would go to a cafe or something and get a snack. And it was so expensive. I'm like, I could just buy this at the grocery store for a quarter of the price and then just eat it in my apartment.
People who travel know, the problem of when like you're staying at a hotel or you're in somewhere that's unfamiliar to you is that if you're hungry, sometimes you just want to eat like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or like a bowl of cereal. And normally, though, you have to go to a cafe or a restaurant or something and end up spending $10 or $15+ and you just have to eat like 2,000 calories.
Right.
So it's nice the way we do it is just, it's worth it to just rent our own place where we can cook and we can do that. Just eat peanut butter jelly sandwiches because that's all we want.
And another thing, too, is if you're here and you're going to a cafe every time you want to make a cup of coffee, you're spending so much. Like, we basically drink coffee and tea all day long. So we just made it in the apartment.
Yeah. So it's just that high of, I think part of being a scavenger is we get high on a value, like we don't mind. I think that's the other side of the coin. Like we don't mind spending its money if there's a value to it. So like this week we posted how we've been using Uber, this new car service where, it use an app instead of a taxi. It uses this app. It tells you how much the ride's going to be and someone comes and picks you up and takes you there. And it's all just done through your online payment. So the driver isn't swiping cards or getting cash from you.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, we don't mind splurging on that because there's a value to that, getting across town.
The efficiency of it.
Yeah.
Although, as I said in that post, I love public transportation. I love that it's cheap and it can get you all the way across town. But there are sometimes when public transportation does not reach the place that you're going to, and you're like, we just have to get there, and it's for a job or whatever. So. And
we also rent when we travel like this. We rent apartments on Airbnb. I'm sure a lot of it you know that, and there is a difference. Like we could just rent a room in someone's apartment, where it's more really like a B&B where you're sharing it with the owner. We like to splurge and we spend a little more, and we like to find entire private apartments where we are splurging on ourselves.
Well, and
comparatively, but we're still saving money overall.
But the beauty of that type of situation, which I love versus a hotel, is you can do your laundry. Yeah. You can cook all your food. it's just so different.
You lounge on the couch with like Wi-Fi.
It's so much. I mean, it is almost like you live there. Like we felt like we lived in Amsterdam.
Right, and that's it's versus like right now we're in a hotel because part of our coming to Amsterdam is this week we're about to do a job. We do a video work, and they flew us to come over here, and so we're now
in work mode.
Yeah, and now we're in the hotel by the convention center, and this hotel room's small, and you don't really spread out because basically there's just like a bed and a chair, and it's just like, and if you want to eat something, you have to go down or find something on the street to go eat.
Yeah, or going to town, back into town.
And this is, I guess I just want to talk about that so this kind of work we don't do as often anymore because we can pick and choose. But it's like really intense work.
Yeah.
Like right now the people paying us, I mean, they basically own our time.
Yeah.
We'll do 10, 12-hour days. It's all we do. It's a kind of work that's not integrated in any kind of a lifestyle. It's just you work all day and you collapse at night.
Yep.
And you do it again the next day.
Yep, for, a week straight.
And it's so much different from how we make a living on eBay, where, eBay's integrated into like a lifestyle. Where,
right.
Like, we work hard, but you're like doing it at your own pace. It's so much different,
Yeah, it's a totally different level of working. Although the reason we continue to do this work is because it allows us to travel. Right. Mostly, and we really like the client that we work for,
and I totally understand people who are new, who are like, I'd love to quit my job, but I'm worried, can I really make enough? And I hear you. I mean, we've been doing this for 6 years. eBay is definitely full time for us. We could live exclusively on our eBay earnings.
Yes,
but we still like to have one hand or one foot in this other traditional work world, kind of because I don't want to lose its reputation of what we do just in case we ever needed it,
Also, something you always remind me of, it's very important as like a tech, for me, I'm a video technician person, to keep up your skills over time, like to learn new things and try out new things. And I have really had to do that in the past couple of years, continue to do that.
And you're very good at that, like learning a new software and like
it's painful sometimes, but it's good. And I think that that's important so that if you do want to continue to either be a consultant or be a freelancer, that you do either take little jobs or do volunteer stuff or do your own stuff in the same, venue.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be specific, people who work a job and they work full time, if you're any good at what you do, very often you can quit the full-time job and you can start to work as a consultant.
Right.
And maybe even the same company will keep you employed because they like what you do, and you can then just dictate at your own terms, at your own projects, and honestly, a lot of companies like that just because then they don't have to pay for your health care and they don't have to,
that's good.
They can just pay job by job versus, eBay's great for that because then you kind of turn that on its head because then you can dictate the terms like, I don't want to take that job.
Right.
Right. Like there are jobs that people want us to do and we're just like, nah, we don't, it sounds like too much of a pain in the ass. And eBay gives us that FU money.
One thing I did want to mention that you just reminded me of, because if you do want to go full-time with eBay, you can get healthcare through healthcare.gov. We talked about it last time. November 15th is the day for you to start signing up if you haven't. And I think you said even though you have already signed up, you still need to go in. I
was just reading an article about it that, every year healthcare providers, obviously it's new, but the way it's going to work is every year when there's this open enrollment, new providers can come in, providers can change its price. And so it's good, even if you have healthcare through healthcare.gov, you should go and just recheck the price because you might find a better deal.
So you can shop around again during open enrollment.
And actually, what everyone is talking about is that it's a huge success. Like this year, there's going to be more providers in there, and that some people are going to raise their costs, but then other providers are bringing their costs down. And so, that's what it's meant to be, a marketplace where you can go in and judge. Do I pay it's money, but maybe not have, all the services I want, or do I pay a little bit more? And, you're making them compete against each other and fight for our business.
That's what a marketplace is.
Yeah. So anyway, there is definitely, now healthcare options if you want to go, independent, and, don't ever let that stop you from, quitting a shitty job. Okay, customer issues for us. It's this week.
I don't think we had any for, giving people their... I don't think so.
One reason why I don't think we had any customer issues is because we haven't shipped anything in 3 weeks. So, no
kidding.
I just want to stress how incredible that is. And this is not the first time it happened. I mean, again, we sell while we're on vacation, and we just change our handling time to reflect how long we'll be gone. We always just message each person who buys and tell them there'll be we're going to ship when we get back. And so we have 137 people now who are perfectly okay with waiting for their item. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we haven't had any customer issues because no one's gotten anything to complain about. Once they get it, we might have to deal with whatever. But until then, we're good to go. But that's interesting to say, because there's a new defect policy. We got some defects on our last vacation because we didn't change our handling time. So even though we put the store in vacation and told people we would be shipping after we got back, our handling time still said next day. So people were able to open cases saying they hadn't gotten their item. Even though they knew about it, we were still getting defects. So this time we said, well, let's change our handling time. So they should not be able to, they
will not be able to.
They cannot and will not open a case in eBay for not getting their item because we've told them it's going to take, 30 days.
So eBay will automatically say, please wait until the handling time that they specified.
But we've now found a little glitch. And that is, we had someone unhappy that we were going to be gone for so long, even though it was transparent. And they opened a case in PayPal. Now,
the weird thing is that PayPal doesn't look at your handling time. They must not, because they were able to open it in PayPal, even though I said I would refund them. It wasn't a big deal.
Right, and we gave them a refund right away, but then we noticed we got a defect from that.
Right.
And so Ryan called eBay, and the customer service person says, any case in PayPal also counts as a defect.
And I was like, well, if they couldn't open a case in eBay, why can they open a case in PayPal? He didn't have an answer. And I said, I would like that removed because clearly if they can't open it in eBay, they don't have a case. And he couldn't remove it. So, what the heck am I supposed to do? I guess I'm going to call again.
Yes.
I don't know.
So it's just like a little glitch in their system, because if we're very clear when we're going to ship, we shouldn't get any kind of blowback because someone decides they don't want to wait.
Right. So we'll see. I will keep you guys updated as to
more to be revealed.
Yeah.
So things we learned in the comments of the blog. I'm telling you, those of you who maybe have never gone to the blog, it's scavengerlife.com. It's a blog, but the comments in the blog are really what entertain us during the week. I mean,
so much going on.
There's really a good group of people where people are coming up with issues or problems or questions, and there's a lot of smart people. A lot of these people seem to be making a living on eBay. Maybe not full-time, but many of them are supplementing a large part of their income, and that they've been selling for a while. And I just really like how it's kind of a calm, cool-headed environment.
Yes.
Because really, there's no need to get all outrageous about it, but it's great. And so I just wanted to update people who maybe had heard that this guy Dan had emailed us and said that he was suspended for copyright violation because he had up a Hard Rock Cafe glass from Heidelberg, Germany, which it turns out there is a Hard Rock Cafe there, but it's like an illegal
It's like a fake one.
that the main company, Hard Rock Cafe, has sued, and they won a lawsuit, and this poor guy got suspended for a week because he put that up there. Very strange to me because we've gotten policy violations before for putting up stuff that we didn't know was against eBay policies. Normally they give you a warning.
I've never been suspended for 7 days, that's for sure.
But the cool thing is Dan and I had a conversation and he was just like, yeah, I was angry about it, of course, but what am I going to do? I waited the week and I'm back on. So I think that's really the best way to handle it.
Yeah, he definitely, I was glad you guys got into an email conversation because he had a really good attitude about it. Yeah. So, I'd be pissed. I know he was pissed too, but eventually he was like, that stuff just happens sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think he and I, we talked about it. There's just a bigger picture. He just put up an item, whatever, but he got in the middle of this battle. I mean, there's like a brewing lawsuit between these two companies, corporations. So he's just like the fallout of that.
Yeah, it's very weird.
What are you going to do about it? Okay, so let's answer questions that people have sent in. Obviously, you can go to the blog, scavengerlife.com. If you have a question or a problem, put it there because then you won't get just our answer. You'll hear from other people as well that sometimes have better things to say than we do. But you can also go to the site and there's a form on the right-hand side and send us a question.
Okay, so the first question is from Unlimited Supply Warehouse. Would you buy something from a fellow eBayer who didn't know what they were selling, listed as something completely different than what it actually was, and make a huge profit? Or would you tell them what they have and how much it's really worth? Opinions, please. I could make around $50 net off this deal.
Now, she actually went to the blog after she posted this and asked it, and people gave their opinion. But I think we wanted to read it because it's a good
question.
And I think what everyone is talking about is it's fair game. I mean, if someone does not want to put in the research or the time to figure out what an item is, and they put up a piece of a gold spoon for $1, I mean, go for it.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Or what I've had people do for me, they've definitely told me what something is. That's fine too. It just depends on, do you want that item? Are you interested in selling that item? I mean, it just depends on what you want to do. You could do either, but I think either one is totally fair.
Yeah.
Either buying it or telling them what they have.
Because, I mean, being around eBay for a while and, talking to people on the blog and in other forums, I think that it's some people's business model where they just don't really care. Like, they know that things could be worth more than something else, but they don't want to put in the time. They'd rather just get it up and get it out. They get it all for free or somehow. And if they make a couple bucks, that's fine. Very often what they do is they put it on auction and they're just rolling the dice hoping that, somehow it gets hot in the auction. But like you said, if they haven't done its research and put in the right keywords, the people who would pay a lot for it don't find it.
Right. And I think it does pay to, if you are going to buy stuff and then resell it, to have 2 different usernames. I think that it's not a great thing to resell it right away on your username. I think it's... maybe it's fine. But then if you're wanting to buy from the same person later and they're like, hey, no, it's not cool.
Now, we haven't followed that advice. That's advice that people were talking about recently, and we're actually thinking about doing that. That I have a blog. I mean, I have an eBay account that we use sometimes, but we should just open up
a total seller account.
A buying account.
I'm sorry, a buying account where you only buy on it. You don't sell anything. Because on your account, we actually are about to put some listings up just to do a double.
We actually sold that painting that we talked about
on your account
this week on my account.
So just because we are trying to get feedback on that other account, just to build that account up, just in case. Mary says, just wanted to say thanks for the tip about Ting Mobile. The first month's bill was $42 as opposed to my AT&T bill, which was always about $100. Yay, that makes me feel good.
Yeah, and so that's cool. We've gotten a couple of these. I just wanted to read that out because, I mean, we've had a handful of people from the blog who have switched over and signed up for this other, for Ting.
Yeah.
And we were the same way. I mean, we were paying $100 each, and suddenly together, our bill was a little over $50. And that's including
crazy.
All the taxes and all regulatory fees. And so, and there's a lot of different services out there. There's it's Republic Wireless and Metro PCS. I mean, so
Credo.
If you're stuck in one of these big expensive phone bills, man, it's one of those digital scavenging things.
Yeah.
Just like, you're just paying because you're not thinking about going somewhere else. So figure it out.
Yeah, you got to.
Kate says, just saw that another person used the same description word for word as my items. Is this allowed? Is this something I should report?
I do not think that it's allowed. I think that you can report it.
I think, okay, look, Kay, I think this is, I don't know what I would do. I think that would upset me if someone just copy and pasted
what I said.
But it's interesting. Like we said, it's before we were getting to its military surplus for a while. And the guys that sell big in this stuff, they're selling the same items again and again. Their photos have a watermark on it. Mm-hmm. And I know some people, like to do that because they said that people were taking their photos and
reusing them.
I think it's report them. And I think that you should. It's kind of like the whole plagiarism thing. I mean, I think we all do it. We'll do its research and find an item, and we never copy and paste. But we'll definitely take ideas and facts from someone else's description and then put it in our own words. Because, I mean, those are just,
information.
Yeah.
Or Wikipedia. You're like, what the hell is this?
But yeah, if someone's just copy and pasting, yeah, I mean, tell eBay. I'm not sure. I guess they would look and see who made which
one first,
a listing first.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I wouldn't spend too much time obsessing over it. But
if you're uncomfortable, you should report them. I think so.
Especially if it's someone that's doing it consistently. But
yeah.
I've never actually seen that, but it'd be interesting to kind of hear a follow-up on how that
I would love
out.
to know what happens from that. So please keep us in the loop.
Cool. So that's the end of the podcast this week. Don't forget, you can go to scavengerlife.com. You can subscribe to us in iTunes and Stitcher.
And YouTube.
Yep.
Now, because we're working this week, I will try my hardest to get the second episode up on Wednesday. I will try my hardest to do that.
And what we did was its next episode is we actually interviewed a friend of ours here in Amsterdam. He doesn't sell on eBay, but we thought it was an interesting idea because he is, someone like us who kind of lives an unconventional life. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to kind of go into how people like us think. And, we just try to kind of introduce the idea of what would it be like if you started selling junk online,
We're planting that seed in his head.
So you'll get to kind of hear an outsider's opinion because he knows what we do about, how he thinks about, what this would be like for him.
Yeah, and he's a traveler and a media maker and an independent worker, and so he definitely has that perspective on life too. So it was fun to talk to him.
Cool.
He's a podcaster too, so he's excited to be on a podcast as well.
Cool. So this episode is now ending in
3, 2, 1.